Hello, namaste, and welcome back to my channel. And this will be a real talk video for the day of judgment. So, hello, I'm Chirasree, and I am a Christ consciousness yogi. And my life purpose is quantum integration therapy, specialized in work intelligence expansion. I started my journey as an entrepreneur, and everything that I've learned in the phase of my hustling are now courses which you can avail and that can actually help you in your hustling process. If you're from India, I have 3 courses and they are all in Hindi. One is Quantum Master Manifestation course, one is Tarot Reading course, and one is How to Love Yourself course, and all of them are in Hindi. If you are from India, you can definitely go and avail them and be a affiliated coach, reader, or healer and be a part of our QD8 for Creators community. And if you would like to work one-on-one with me, the options are given down below of the services of how you can work with me. If you want, you can read my books too. In the description box below, you will find the details. So, talking about Day of Judgment, of what is really going on right now, I have been sitting here, and as a light worker, I had been really purging, and really a lot of anger was flowing through my heart space, and I literally could feel the wrath of God. Literally, I could sense it, the anger of the conscience, which is conscious in nature. So, a lot of spiritual teachers will disagree to align to this fact that the conscience is conscious. That itself is another topic of discussion, if the conscience is conscious or not. But according to me, the conscience is God, and and it is conscious in nature. It can see it all, it can feel it all, and wherever you know it all is when you tap into your conscience and start to see from the conscience. Over the course of years, there have been various manipulation, there have been various theories, there have been various points of coercion which have tried to submerge the conscience with various folds of energy, and that was also the spells that were casted, and it was all done to shake the belief system of the very conscience, which is very much conscious in nature, which guides all that is the entire process. However everything is going, there is a conscious force working beneath that, and that is of God, of course. And the wrath of God is very real. It is extensively real. I personally am very close to God because I grew up literally chatting with God all my life, because I was a person who was an introvert half my life, and having to be an introvert, I naturally spent half of my years internally in my heart space chatting with God, trying to know how everything works on an emotional basis, because my hobby is literally to feel my emotions and inculcate the wisdom beneath that. I personally see that everything is perfect and everything is happening because that's what is written in Bhagavad Gita, that's what is written in Bible, and I trust the words of Bible and Gita blindly. And at the same time, I've also been curious to see how it applies in the physical reality. But I personally have feared God all my life. So all my actions before taking, I personally check in with my conscience and really figure out if what I'm about to do is right or wrong in my conscience. If it really feels right in my conscience, then I go ahead and do that. So, Day of Judgment, what I feel looks like is a day where the global collective awakening is setting forth. Wherever we thought that we are God and we create our reality, we had completely forgotten to acknowledge that we are co-creating our reality with God. And there has been literal mess out there where everybody has their own viewpoints, and some of the truth are way further away from what the absolute truth is. And somewhere deep down, it is all happening in divine order. And no matter how much shadowy contrast is available, there is also God's plan. And whoever falls in trap of the shadowy aspects is itself happening as a plan of God for them to ultimately realize how much they derailed because of their ego, but not stay aligned with God's truth. And the day of judgment is very, very, very real. And the day of judgment, what I personally believe is coming up is for 21st is people who took decisions, derailed from their conscience, people who took decisions, way swayed from their conscience to create a new world of imagination and pretense and manipulation are those who will be judged. And those realities which are created without the foundation of God is going to be experiencing a huge catastrophe. And those realities will actually go for literally a toss and shaking up, because things would be uprooting themselves from their foundation, where the foundation was not made in Jesus Christ, not made in purity of your conscience, which that is God. And that itself tells a lot why Bible mentions that before God's intervention there will be earthquake and there will be a lot of chaos and confusion, because chaos and confusion comes from decisions that were taken by conscious suppression of the conscience. And it is also said in Bible that a lot of people will be doing Lord, Lord, but not everybody would be entering the house. It's not about doing Lord, Lord. It's literally about doing Lord, Lord within as much we do without. A lot of people have really, wanted things to get something else. So a lot of people were wanting a particular partner because the partner will do this, because the partner will do that, because the partner will meet this kind of need, that kind of need, and all of those people are single, experiencing no communication, going through series of signs and stuff, and every day the history repeats itself where the person feels that the person is coming, the person is coming, the person is coming. And then it leads to a lot of rage in such people, that where is this person coming? This person has to give me this, the person has to give me that. But that has actually been an operation from the ego. And the lack of differentiation between that the action is being oriented from the ego and not from the conscience is where the massive gulf is. And that is where the divine intervention is occurring at this point of time, and the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction is going to heighten these shadows and bring forth them out on the table. And even then, ego will not be able to see that, because ego has a false sense of perceived self-love, which itself is the biggest illusion, which does not let us see through, because we are further away from our conscience. And even if we try to ignore the voice of our conscience, even if we try to avoid the fact that our conscience is all that is, and even if we think that we know it all, it is ultimately coming from our thoughts, our mind. And it is a perceived reality that the mind has created. And we automatically start to feel like, okay, this is the reality, it's all happening. And it's much like affirming it on the outside. Oh, it's happening, this is coming, that is coming. But that's not really how it works. Even Neville Goddard talked about feeling is the secret. The God of manifestation himself has talked about feeling is the secret. So when he himself has talked about feeling being the secret, there must be a reason behind it. Even Abraham Hicks, if you really deeply, closely listen to her video, she always talks about feeling it. You have to feel it. And feeling is something that you inculcate in your internal heart space. And your internal heart space center itself is where the conscience is situated. And when you feel something, when you inculcate a feeling in your heart space, when you inculcate and imbibe a sensation in your heart space, it is deep-seated and stored in the core of your heart space. And something that which is stored in the core of your heart space, something that is present in the core of your heart space, something that is breathing in the core of your heart space, how can we really trick that? If we are really tricking that, where is our humanity there? Where is the humanitarian approach occurring in the essence of love? Love is all that is. Love is also the war, love is also the hatred, love is also the rage. But why can't we be rage when we are enraging? Why do we have to pretend to be love when we are in rage? God does not think anything is right or wrong. To God, rage is also godly. To God, wrath is also godly. To God, anger is also godly. But every other emotion is a separate emotion. But when we code the emotion with the pretense of feeling another emotion, when deep down the emotion we are feeling is something completely different, that is where pretense come in. And wherever but there is pretense, those pretense are going to be breaking forth and the reality, the truth is going to show up. So if you seek something out of greed, why can't we show it out of why can't the greed be shown? Why do we judge greed and then still feel greed? Why do we judge anger and then still feel anger deep inside, but to share on the outside that we are all about love, light and truth? Why do we feel wrath and anger purging inside of us and a rage filling up our corners, but we say on the outside, it's all good, it's all positive, everything is happening perfectly? Are we scared that thinking something else will change the reality? Then where is our trust in God? Do we really think that pretending something and telling something on the outside is going to manipulate God? Who has given us this wrong notion? This is the time where the day of judgment is intervening, I believe. And this is the kind of download I have received and I usually receive. And what I truly feel is that our conscience, the God molecule, is getting more and more conscious in every human. And as the consciousness of the God molecule heightens, the wrath of Him, the wrath of God will be felt through every penetrating layer of every human. No matter how much we pretend, no matter how much we try to rule over, the truth of the God cannot be altered. The truth of the God is deeper than ocean. And the truth itself will reveal itself because it is the power and resonance of truth that will resonate forth in form of truth. Because God is all that is. When we are living in the universe with law of exchange, with the give and take nature, why do we have to pretend that we are not doing that when actually we are doing that? the derailment of how you are feeling on the inside and how you are behaving on the outside is where the layer, between which the layer that was present, that is going to come outside. And that is what the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction is going to bring forth for the whole humanity. So nothing that is colored pink, but actually deep down is yellow, will continue to be holding on to the color pink, but will have to reveal itself in its true color. And this is the time when the truth is being revealed. This is the time when every human's deep down truth is being revealed. A lot of people have been manipulated and have been put on spells, and they have been blindfolded with spells of others who have pretended to be something else and have taken advantage of people. But those that have also been taken advantage of will also be rising, and everyone will be able to see everybody's truth after 21st of December 2021. 2020. And the truth can never be hidden. 2021 is the year of receiving for your karma. By the virtue of your karma, you shall receive. And there had been manipulative techniques where Babylon tried to promote that karma is not real and you can really love yourself and it really hurts, and those hurt will transmute into love. But if we have sinned and when we are forgiving ourselves from that sin, without acknowledging and accepting that the sin was sin in the first place, that itself is another sin which we are covering with love, and that sin within starts to disease the whole process. So that's actually a little how it works. How I know? God has told me. And how do I know God has really told me? I don't know. I'm just sharing my perspective. Because I have voice. I have the right to speak. And this is a platform where everybody can share their voice and perspective, and I'm just doing the same. More to that, there have been a lot of constraints and ideas that karma does not really backfire, and good karma is when we really say thank you, bless you, and good karma will interview in our life. Nope, that's not how it works. Why are you thankful? How much do you feel the gratitude? How much gratitude do you really feel in your heart when you're telling thank you? Are you telling thank you to get something? Then that itself is where you are in a state of pretense and adding up more karma points. Because if you feel anger, feel your anger. If you feel greed, feel your greed. If you feel jealousy, feel your jealousy. If you feel envy, feel your envy. No matter what you feel is God. No matter what you're feeling has a wisdom beneath it. And that very wisdom will widen your perspective and help you to invite God there. But whenever we avoid something because we think that avoiding it and ignoring it would really make God give us what we want. But you cannot trick your conscience. A lot of psychological thought process that works in a lot of people is that I'm going to pretend and I can trick my conscience. Also, I'm going to just tell my conscience it's not that. You know it, right? But it's not that. You know it, right? That technique itself causes a lot of pain internally, and that pain flickering wound that is present there, that flickering wound itself requires a lot of love. And upon loving ourselves there beneath that pain, we just start to realize that we were taking this decision in the first place because we did not really understand who God is, and that itself make us more surrender to know who God is and really know God's nature, really know God's will. With my life purpose being the messenger of Jesus Christ, of Krishna Christ, who is my God, I take enormous faith, humility, and fear also in the process. And it has personally taken me a long time to really speak up, because the kind of informations I receive, to reveal them, I personally needed a lot of strength in my heart to gather that first, to speak the words of God. Because I am sharing the words of the Most High God. I'm sharing the words of the most amazing God. I'm sharing the words of of God. And when we share the words of God, when we are being the words of God, and when we are voicing the truth of God, there naturally is a lot of fear of internal checking in with the conscience. Every moment that I'm talking, I stay within, I go within, and I watch out that it's coming out from my conscience, it's flowing from my conscience. Because the first ever lesson that God had ever taught me back in 2001, when I was 7 years old, when my journey as a yogi began, was the God is your conscience. And God gets to know everything in the conscience. And that's when I knew that, okay, no matter what I do, everything is operating in the conscience level. Even I would do some stupid thing I would do back in school, I would get into guilt. And I would ask God, please punish me, and next year maybe I'm ready for some karma to clarify it. And when we are going through the process of karma, we are going through the process of purging, there are various lessons that we learn. One main lesson that we learn is that there's enough for all. So there is no need for competition, there's no need for anger, and everything is happening perfectly. It might be that you weren't born to a family where people love you and you have a lot of anger there. Like, how come my childhood has been so miserable? How come that person's childhood has been so amazing? How come people really get that child, and how come nobody really gets me, and how come the child has no gratitude, and how come I have so much gratitude? You might be feeling this a lot of times. Been there, done that, and I personally experienced this particular aspect back in when I was 9 years old. And what really helped me to inculcate this wisdom was that everybody is born with a particular lesson, and the lesson that I'm born with is my lesson to learn, so that my soul could integrate that essence of being, to choose a reality where I would get that kind of love from my soul family. And I was being prepared for that, because somewhere deep down I did not feel as a soul that I deserve love. So I was not born in a supportive physical reality family to inculcate that and imbibe that. And once I had understood that, I did not really complain, but I allowed the process to unfold itself and go within and really do the internal work that was necessary. But not for once did I personally feel that karma isn't real, because karma is very much real. If we consciously do not work through karma, it backfires as an internally, it formulates as diseases. And that furthermore creates a veil, that furthermore creates a lot of tension in our life and causes tiny little bit of transmutations. And there is nothing on this world which you can do to get something. There's nothing in this planet that you can do to get something, because the law of exchange is very true. We are always doing to, you give something and then you get something. That's how receiving and giving and receiving balance is maintained. But what I personally have fathomed is that even if we go for the process of ask, believe and receive, so ask, you're asking. After that, there's of course belief. Then you receive. So ask is, you're asking for it. You're giving out the energy that you need something. But then you have to believe. This belief part itself is God. Getting into the vortex, getting into the alignment is itself creating a relationship with God and really understanding the essence of belief. Really understanding the very essence of God's presence, very profound existence of but God, beyond all the alliterations of reality, beyond all that has been causing a lot of cacophony, beyond all of that is too profound in nature that they get unfathomable and stupendous. Beyond all of that, there is a simple truth. And the simple truth is that if you do good, good will happen to you. But don't do good because you want good to happen to you. Do good for the sake of good. Because if you do good for the sake of getting something, you're adding your karma points. But if you do good for getting something and you're consciously telling it that I'm doing this to get that, that does not add your karma points. For example, I read tarot to earn money. I wasn't reading tarot to help humanity, because I help humanity by speaking the words of God, and I really cannot help humanity by telling them who they will marry and when, because nothing is set in stone. You create your own reality. If you sit back and do not do the inner work, if you sit back and just affirm, it's all happening, but you're telling that from your throat, but you're further away from your belief system with your conscience. The further you are from your conscience, the more time it will take. When I really shared this, then I'm helping humanity. Not when I'm telling the humanity that, okay, you will get married to so and so person on this day. I'm not helping that person. So I personally was reading tarot to get money. So I'm just giving an example. I learned tarot from God. I have the power of intuition from God, and I'm never going to misutilize it. And I'm not going to misutilize it because I have something to get from God. Because I fear God and this is God's world. God can do anything. And it's my duty to be responsible, because with power comes responsibility. Responsibility is my duty. And it is my duty because as a human being in blood, flesh and emotion, it is my duty to be right in the path of my Creator. If not, my Creator does have the right to punish me, and I shall bow down my head and let Him punish me however He wants to, until and unless I've inculcated to learn that lesson and that imbibe that wisdom to go forth in life and release a block or karma to get into the vortex to bring in more love, light and truth. So according to me, the day of judgment is going to be bringing forth a lot more understanding in this context, and having to inculcate this understanding, having to invite in this understanding, there might be a lot of confusion and there might be a lot of state of I can't understand anything, a state of blankness. And that itself would lead to a lot of chaos, confusion, rebelliousness. But that purging itself of chaos, confusion, and rebelliousness, releasing anger, feeling anger, experiencing the wrath, would also be God, letting you feel those emotions until and unless you realize that how much God loves you anyway, how much God is present with you anyway, how much everything is in God's plan anyway. God loves us all. And God does not love us because He has created us. He doesn't have to love us because He's created us. He loves us because we are. He loves us because He is. And that's what He's teaching all of us. And when we love each other, because we are and they are and we all are one, we actually would unite in the essence of oneness. But the rage, the anger, the purging, the wrath, the rebelliousness comes from that very ideology that there's not enough for all, or someone has it better than you do, or someone has it more than you do. Whenever we get into that vortex of energy that this person has more, that person has more, and God is abandoning us, that is because we are abandoning ourselves with this kind of thought process of anger, which itself takes us to another pathway where we want to demolish. But attempting to demolish, attempting to even curse, spell on others, attempting to feel like we are God, the power that comes to us, the power that sticks to us for a while, that stays for a while, but ultimately that power literally demolishes itself. Ultimately that power loses its grip itself. And when that demolishes and loses itself, we get into the state of being judged. And judgment comes. And if you check in the emotional chart, it starts with 20 hertz, shame, guilt. That's where your ascension journey also begins. So you get into that shame, guilt, and that's the true journey, where you first experience shame, guilt, and you go through redemption. And through those redemptive processes, you realize where you were doing something to get something. And there's no other lesson but to learn that there's enough for all. And wherever we are doing something to get something, that itself requires love. And when we have that love, have that assurance, have that belief, everything you ask for, you receive. But you don't receive it because you wanted it. That's why you got it. You receive it because God is great. And we humble down and become like water. And as an extension of the water, everything else aligns. And then when you have it, nothing else makes sense. Because you are already that, you are your manifestation. You understand the essence, the infinity of God, the infinite creation this universe is. And that is the state of humility that aligns humanity in a state of oneness. So judgment is also an internal cacophony which either we see through or not. But karma is very much real. We can pretend that karma isn't real and karma is going to continue to eat us and disease us. But having to tap into the space where we feel judged, having to tap into the space where we know we have sinned, and having to love us in those places when we inculcate to understand the reasoning, which itself is from a place of feeling that there is not enough for all. The very idea that there is not enough for all, deep down, causes wars, causes everything that is ungodly or sinful. But when every time there is assurance being made that there is enough for all, your brain might make you ask that how is there enough for all? Because God is real. And because God is real, there is enough for all. And belief is but increasing your belief in God. To believe is to believe God is real. The faster we believe God is real, the more we understand what God really is. The more deeply we feel God's essence, the more deeply we know God's very blissful presence. That fast everything else aligns in our life, and every manifestation that you've ever asked for aligns in your life, which is but meant for your highest good. When you're coming from anger, that I really want this person, I don't care if this person is for my highest good or not. I don't care if I have a twin flame, but I really want this specific person. You can have that too. But not by pretending that, oh, I already have that, it's all working. But by believing that you really want that person because you really, really love that person, and the love with which you love that person is deep, is unfathomable. It is your love that is desiring to be in oneness with that person, so you wish the best for that person. And it is from that desire of your deep-seated emotion you weave. And it is in that essence of desire everything else aligns. And yes, by the virtue of that, every human being can become love. Every human being can tap into their consciousness of love when we seek them being love, when we seek them in the very emotion of love. But when we are seeking someone in the very emotion of love, also self-love comes in, love for God comes in, love for humanity comes in, love for all that is comes in. And when love for all that is comes in, we only seek for the love that is for our highest good, which is aligned in the truth of God, which of course is of your twin flame. I have a student, and I'm mentioning her because she is one of my most amazing students I have worked with. If you would like to work with her, you can definitely go ahead and contact her in QDate for Creators Group. Her name is Kajal. So she came to me, and my group mastermind manifestation classes that are going on, she's a part of it. If you would like, you can be a part of it too. So she came to me and she told me that I know what a twin flame is, but I'm not looking for my twin flame. I want this specific person, and I don't care if the person is my twin flame. I just want this person. And I asked her, why do you want this person? She told me because I love him a lot, and the love that I feel for him, the love that I have for him is unfathomable, and I cannot love someone else, not even my twin flame, with that love. And I was more than happy to work with her, and I'm working with her, and we are processing it. And as she is processing it, she often at times tells me that if he is happy there, if he is happy without me, I just want him to be happy. I do not want to change him. I do not want to manipulate him. I just want the best for him. And this very approach that she has helps her manifest everything. And in this process of manifesting him, she already ended up manifesting her dream job in not even a month's time. And she did not realize it, that she has manifested it, but she manifested it. And that is because she was loving love unconditionally, and seeking love unconditionally, and seeking God, and just was processing to make her life better and better in the truth of God, everything that she truly desired since childhood just came in her way. And she ended up manifesting her dream job. And when she manifested a dream job, she was wondering if she should join or not. And she also said, it doesn't matter how much they are paying me. It matters that I'll be a part of that job. That's my dream. And that is true manifestation. That is true approach of imbibing and inculcating that essence of your being, and that itself causes the multitude of unfoldment, revealing to you what you truly want and giving you ultimately the reality of your desire and transmuting and transforming your life in the direction how you choose to process your life to be. And by the virtue of that, you can manifest everything that is for your highest good. And everything that is for your highest good, for your highest desire. God knows it all. There's nothing that God doesn't know. Because God is God. God is all knowing, all seeing, all encompassing. Here, there, everywhere, omnipotent, omniscient. So God is everything. There's nothing above God. God is everything. And the very fact that God is everything, the God is our conscience. And our conscience is very much conscious in nature. And it does pain God to see how people don't realize that God loves us all. Every emotion is godly in nature. Even wrath is godly in nature. Greed is godly in nature. Everything is seeded in us through God. Every criminal does a particular crime because God in them is pushing them towards it. It is not the unconscious drives. It is very much conscious drive of that particular vibration that makes a person act in certain way. And that action, when generated further away from within and without, in other words, you think something within and you do something outside, and you feel that you can trick the way, that creates karma. Thank you and love and light to you. Namaste. So, in short, the day of judgment, what's coming is that your internal external reality comes into a state of oneness, and everything that is not in alignment, the shadows that is, will be coming forth on a table outside, given to you in form of gift. And that's when the whole humanity goes within and starts doing the work and choose the one consciousness, because sinning is not the issue, but to sin and pretend that, oh, we are not sinning is the issue, and that itself caused the disease felt karma, even though we try to trick the conscience that no, karma does not work that way, but karma actually works that way, and karma is a bitch. We all know that, and this is why and how karma is a bitch. The point is not about sinning. The point is to sin and pretend we are not sinning. And the process of pretense is what is being judged. And having to judge that, the revelation will reveal the truth itself, which cannot be hidden. Nobody can hide the truth, and on the day of judgment, the truth shall come out. And it was written. Thank you.